Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God. Back with you with the next video in my series reading The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn as read by Lord Naren White. Without further ado, returning to The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. Chapter 14. By and by, when we got up, we turned over the truck the gang had stole off the wreck and found boots and blankets and clothes and all sorts of other things and a lot of books and a spyglass and 3 boxes of Seegers. We hadn't ever been this rich before in neither of our lives. The Seegers was prime. We laid off all the afternoon in the woods talking and me reading the books and having a general good time. I told Jim all about what happened inside the wreck and at the ferryboat, and I said these kinds of things was adventures, but he said he didn't want no more adventures. He said that when I was in the Texas he crawled back to get on the raft and found her gone. He nearly died, because he judged it was all up with him anyway, it could be fixed, for if he didn't get saved, he would get drowned, and if he did get saved, whoever saved him would send him back home so as to get the reward. And then Miss Watson would sell him south, sure. Well, he was right. He was most always right. He had an uncommon level head for a black. I read considerable to Jim about kings and dukes and earls and such, and how gaudy they dressed, and how much style they put on, and called each other your majesty, and your grace, your lordship, and so on, stead of Mister. And Jim's eyes bugged out, and he was interested. He says, I didn't know there was so many of 'em. I ain't heard 'bout none of 'em, scarcely, but old King Solomon? Unless you count them kings that in a pack yards. How much do a king get? Get? I says. Why, they get $1,000 a month if they want it. They can have just as much as they want. Everything belongs to them. Ain't that gay? And what they got to do, Huck? They don't do nothing. Why, how you talk? They just sit around. No, is that so? Of course it is. They just sit around. Except maybe when there's a war, then they go to war. But other times they just lazy around or go hawking. Just hawking and shh. Did you hear a noise? We skipped out and looked, but it weren't nothing but the flutter of a steamboat's wheel away down, coming around the point, so we come back. Yes, says I. And other times, when things is dull, they fuss with their parliament. And if everybody don't go just so he whacks their heads off, but mostly they hang round the harem. Round the which? Harem. What's the harem? The place where he keeps his wives. Don't you know about the harem? Solomon had one. He had about 1,000,000 wives. Why, yes, that's so. I didn't forgot it. A harem's a boarding house, I reckon. Most likely they has rackety times in the nursery, and I reckon the wives quarrels considerable, and that creased a racket. Yet they say Solomon the wisest man that ever lived. I don't take no stock in that, because why? Would a wise man want to live in the midst of such a blim-blamming all the time? No, deed he wouldn't. A wise man would taken and build a biller factory, and then he could shut down the biller factory when he want to rest. Well, but he was the wisest man, anyway, because the widow, she told me, her own self. I don't know her. What'd the widow say? He warn't no wise man neither. He had summer the dad fetchedest ways I ever see. Does you know about that chili that he was going to chop into? Yes, the widow told me all about it. Well then, warn't that he beaten's notion in the world? You just take and look at a minute. Das the stuff. Das one's the woman. He's you. That's the other one. I Solomon, and dish your dollar bills the child. Both you claims it. What does I do? Does I shin around mongs the neighbors and find out which one you to die, which one you the bill do belong to, and hang it over to the right one. All safe and sound, all the way that anybody that had gumption would. No, I take and whack the bill in two, and give half unto you, and the other half to the other woman. That's the way Solomon would was going to do with the chili. Now I want to ask you, what's the use of that half a bill? Can't buy nothing with it. And what's use is half a chili? I wouldn't give a dern for 1,000,000 of 'em. But hang it, Jim, you clean missed the point. Blame it, you missed 1,000 miles. Who, me? Go along. Don't talk to me about your pence. I reckon I know sense when I sees it, and there ain't no sense in sich doings as that. The spoot warn't 'bout a half a chili. The spoot was 'bout a whole chili. And the man that think he can settle a spoot 'bout a whole chili would a half a chili don't know enough to come in out the rain. Don't talk to me about Solomon, Huck. I knows him by back. But I tell you, you don't get that point. Blame the point. I reckon what I knows. And mind you, the real pin is down further. It's down deeper. It lays in the way Solomon was raised. You take a man that's got only 1 or 2 chillin'. Is that man going to be wasteful of chillin'? No, he ain't. He can't afford it. He knows how to value. But you take a man that's got about 5,000,000 chillin' round the house, and it's different. He as soon as chop a chiller in two as a cat. Dey's plenty more. A chiller two, more or less, want no consequence to Solomon. Dad, fetch him. I never seen such a black. If he got a notion in his head once, there wa'n't no getting it out again. He was the most down on Solomon of any black I ever see. So I went talking about other kings and let Solomon slide. I told him about Louis XVI that got his head chopped off and cut off in France a long time ago, and about his little boy, the Dolphin. That would have been king, but they took him and shut him up in jail, and some say he died there. Poor little chap. But some says he got away and come to America. That's good. But he'll be pooty lonesome. There ain't no kings here, is they, Huck? No. And then he can't get no situation. What's he going to do? Well, I don't know. Some of them gets on the police, and some of them learns people how to talk French. Why, Huck? Don't the French people talk the same way we does? No, Jim. You couldn't understand a word they said. Not a single word. Well, now, I'd be ding busted. How did that come? I don't know, but it's so. And I got some of their jabber out of a book. Suppose a man was to say to you, come to you and say, Parlez-vous français? What would you think? I wouldn't think nothing. I'd take and bust him over the head, that is, if he weren't white. I wouldn't low no black to call me that. Shucks, it ain't calling you anything. It's only saying, do you know how to talk French? Well then, why couldn't he say it? Why, he is saying it. That's a Frenchman's way of saying it. Well, it's a blame ridiculous way, and I don't want to hear no more about it. There ain't no sense in it. Looky here, Jim. Does a cat talk like we do? No, a cat don't. Well, does a cow? No, a cow don't neither. Does a cat talk like a cow or a cow talk like a cat? No, they don't. It's natural and right for 'em to talk different from each other, ain't it? Course. And ain't it natural and right for a cat and cow to talk different from us? Well, most surely it is. Well then, why ain't it natural and right for a Frenchman to talk different from us? You answer me that. Is a cat a man, Huck? No. Well then, there ain't no sense in a cat talking like a man. Is a cow a man, or is a cow a cat? No, she ain't either of them. Well then, she ain't got no business to talk like either one or the other of 'em. Is a Frenchman a man? Yes. Well then, Dad, blame it. Why don't he talk like a man? You answer me that. I see it weren't no use wasting words. You can't learn a black to argue. So I quit. We'll go ahead and stop there, as next week we'll start off at chapter 15. As usual, I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. Light be with you all. Take care, and thanks again.